In this demonstration, I'll describe the steps for modifying our TLSO within the Design tab in the OWW software. The first thing I want to do is go to the drop-down arrow in the window in the upper left-hand corner, click the down arrow with the left mouse button, select the OWW TLSO Modification tab, and our wizard will appear. Click the first step. We want to select the 1-inch tool, fixed depth, and 3/8 carved depth. We want to spin our model so that we have the model on the right side of the model of the TLSO. First thing we want to do here is take the cursor so that we're pointed right at the line we've drawn in, our landmark line, so the cursor is pointed right at that line. So kind of hold it right there, click and hold, and we'll start to carve in our waist groove. And we're going to run our cursor right along that line and carve our 3/8 inch depth waist groove line. You can go as fast or as slow as you want. And at this fixed depth, it's only going to carve a 3/8 inch waist groove. It's kind of nice if you start and stop, because if for some reason you don't like what you've done, so for example at the end of this it looks a little big, you can go to the back arrow and unclick and back it out and start over. So again, I'm going to click, hold, and I'll go a little faster this time and carve that out. But just follow the line and we'll carve that out. And clean it up. Make it a little bigger if you like. And again, what we're doing here is just trying to learn the fundamentals and basics of modifying a TLSO just one way. There's a number of different ways to do this, and this is just one way to do it. So we're going to go to the left side of the model and do it again. So again, hold your cursor right on the line, starting at the back side, hold, and just try to follow the line as close as you can, from back to front. Carve it out, and then go back to anterior and make sure that it looks symmetrical. I'm just going to go back to that right side and carry this out just a little bit further. Very good. Okay, so reorient the model. That looks pretty good. All right, so we've carved out our waist groove. That looks good. We're done. We're going to move on to the next step. In this step, what we're going to do is we're going to take our tool width and we're going to max it out to 2 inches. 2 inches is as large as you can go, fixed depth, and we're going to go down to 1/8 of an inch. We can see our xiphoid process marker. We're going to basically stay a little bit below that because of the tool size, and we're going to carve out what kind of looks like a 6-pack. We're going to go down to and just below the pubis and remove everything within that box. Just create a big rectangle. Then we're going to go to the blend, left click that, and I like to use the medium blend. We'll left click that. Now bring the cursor back to the rectangle that we just carved out and right click, and we're going to blend all these edges. Just soften up and blend all that out. Try to stay away from the waist groove carve as best you can. If you touch it a little bit, that's just fine. Don't worry about it. But we're just going to blend all that out. So we're just tightening up the abdominal area of our TLSO. Try to create some inner abdominal compression. Now, again, I'm going to turn this so I can look at the profile. It looks like we have, and again, this is a remnant from that tape we put around our patient during the scanning process. And I don't really like that, so I think we should probably go back and add a step, which is kind of nice. So we're going to go here and hit this left click, add a modification. We're going to go add a modification, left click, click add here, or excuse me, we're going to add material is the modification we're adding. We're going to go back to 2 inches. We're going to max that out, fixed depth, but we're only going to go, again, 1/8 of an inch of material. So if we slide this back over and identify this area here, we want to fill that up a little bit. So, and it's right about in here, right at that level of the waist groove. So I am going to left click and fill this area. Again, staying away from the waist groove. Just going to add a little bit of material in here to fill that little void. Again, just 1/8 of an inch. So now I'm going to spin that around, and that looks good. And just blend these edges by right-clicking and blending. Being careful again to stay out of the waist groove that I've worked so hard to carve in. Have another look at it. Well, that looks better. I don't see that big dent in there any longer. It's kind of a roping effect. Now, we'll go on to our next step. Remove more material. We're going to go 2 inch, fixed depth, again down another 1/8. And we're just going to do another layer off of that 6-pack area. So we'll start at the top, staying below the xiphoid. I'm just going to repeat the step from before. I found that if we try to take too much material, we end up having a harder time getting rid of or blending out this edge here. So I just simply found that it works better to just take smaller increments. And if you got to do it 4 times on, let's say, a larger person, then do it. It just works better. I've actually talked with some colleagues in the industry. They do it the same way. So this seems to work the best. 1/8 of an inch at a time. All right, and again, right click and blend. Just take this area out, staying away from the waist groove. Blend that away. This looks good. All right, so we'll look at our profile. Yes, and this looks a lot better. So we're going to spin this around, do a little bit of a blending through here. And everything down below the pubis is outside of our trim line, so we don't have to worry about those areas. All right, so this is looking good. Now, we are going to just really quickly, one quick blend through that waist groove on each side. And that's it for now. We're going to move on to our next step. We're going to add material. So we're going to go ahead and add to the ASIS. We have to go to 1.5 inches, fixed, and 3/16 of an inch. So we're going to start on the left side. And what we want to do here is put a circular buildup on the ASIS. All right, and then move it so that we can see the whole left side here. And then all the way up along the iliac crest, we're going to add kind of a line buildup, just like that. Then we're going to go up along the ribs and do the same thing. We're going to run that right out to the very front. So you might want to spin this around. I think that'll be fine. Okay, so run this out. I'm going to take this and just, again, I can hold this on the back or right over the top of this because it won't add any additional. So I'm clicking on this, but it's not adding any additional material where I've already added it. All right, so we're going to do the same thing over here. Start on the ASIS, build it up in a circular fashion, staying out of the waist groove. We don't want any buildup in that area. Trying to keep this so that it's symmetrical. So each side, again, looks the same. So take your time with this. And then right up along that iliac crest, staying out of the waist groove. And then right up along the rib. When you're done, come back, square it up, make sure that they're the same length. So I need to come over here and run this out just a little bit further so they appear to match. So I take this just a little bit further. I don't like that, so I'm going to back it out. There, that appears to match. Now, I'm going to go back to where I started on the left side. With my blending tool, I'm going to right click and blend this together. This is creating, again, a buildup over the ASIS and over the ribs, so we don't have any problems with the TLSO rubbing in those areas. Our goal here in the end is that up along the ribs here, right through here, is that it looks like a straight line, even though I've added a buildup here. Again, it's only 3/16 of an inch, but hopefully on this patient, that's all we're going to need. We don't want to put a giant buildup on this. So let's spin this around. Again, nice straight line. That looks pretty good. So once we've completed that, now we're going to fairly quickly just run our blending tool right straight through this waist groove and smooth all that out. Finish that up. So that looks nice. All right, well, that's done. We'll do the same thing on this side. Okay, work my way along the ribs. A little extra there in that one spot. That'll blend right out. Alright, just about done. And again, quickly right through that waist groove. And again, we'll look here at this from the anterior view, squared up. See how that looks. So that looks actually very nice. One last blend. So there's our waist groove. Nice and symmetrical, nice deep waist groove to help lock on to our patient and give us the control we need to help stabilize this patient's spine. Take one last look from the back, do a little more blending right in this one spot. Spin that around. Alright, we do have a trim line feature. For whatever reason, it only puts it on the top. It doesn't give us any lines at the bottom, but this is kind of nice. We can take these and pull these down and give us some just preliminary trim lines. they tend to be a little fussy. I'm going to spin this around to the back. So we have a line drawn for the inferior angle of our scapula. Get this one down. Be close. So we'll bring this grouping of these little circles right down to this line. These are all going to be straight. And then this one is going to come right underneath the axilla. Again, running straight. And then we'll bring this one up over here. And that one up to here. And you like, I've always found it difficult to get them exactly perfect where I want these to be, but get them as close as you can. So this I want to come forward so my patient has full range of motion, can bring their arms together in the front, but you can't always get these guys to give you that nice round shape up in the front. This is actually looking pretty decent here so far. And it's, for whatever reason, this one little circle here is kind of stagnant. It won't. So what we could do is we could take this one and work it over this way and pull some of these other ones around, if it'll let us here. So this one can come around this way. Oh, that's our marker. We don't want to do that. We'll put that one back. But anyway, this gives you the general idea of where these trim lines are going to be. Reorient. A little rough, but the basic idea. And for the most part, our trim lines and modifications are done.